we had a really huge contract with Homeland Security. You name anything important, dairy farm. You're like, why would you dudes show up on a dairy farm? Well, because if this guy's cows get poisoned, America's literally never gonna drink milk again. We got Grenada guys, Panama guys, dudes that were up in the Northern Alliance looking for bin Laden.
Going all the way back to Magpul Dynamics. That's one of the first introductions to putting online content out there for the masses to see. How did that start? Because it doesn't seem immediately obvious that a company that makes devices that help you retrieve your magazine from the pouch would make training videos.
Okay, so it is gonna be a little long. So
hey, what's up guys? I'm here with someone who really needs no introduction in the 2A community, Chris Costa. We're over here at Fritz Precision Shooting. It's an amazing course, but I want to take the opportunity to sit here and talk with Chris about his background, Magpul Dynamics and that whole thing, and just, like his thoughts on the shooting community, everything that's going on right now. And
all right. And he told me to wear the shortest shorts possible, and he would do it too. But he's not in. I thought it was going to come out in UDTs, but but obviously that's a little. Yeah, I'm already borderline. So don't judge. It's hot out here. Don't judge. Don't act like you're not impressed.
Yeah, I figured I'd get demonetized if both of us wore those shorts. So they're down there in my bag, but I think they're going to stay there for now.
All right. So what did you think of today?
It was great. When he said that we would go from zeroing at 100 and then immediately jump to 1200, that sounded wild.
I felt like I said that early this morning, but it's okay. It's all right. I mean, obviously I'm just searching and scratching, for crumbs. But yes, that is exactly what we did today.
Yeah, and but it worked. It worked. And it was a confidence builder too, because I was like, okay, you can do this. Now you can also do all these other ranges as we go throughout the day. So that was amazing.
But then it wasn't like we had you lay on your belly. We did for the 12-20 shot, right, in a zero.
Mm-hmm.
Had you zero from that position. And then after that, and you trued your gun and we got your BC on it, then you went off tripod.
Right.
Like immediately we're going to go play back in hardcore mode, right?
Yeah. Standing tripod.
Standing.
Yeah.
Tripod, not
Big
kneeling.
difference.
You saw kneeling towards the end, and you're like, oh, this is back on easy mode. You're just like, kill, murder, death, kill, right?
Yeah.
But, I think I remember years ago taking numerous classes, and you always built out to 1,000, right? Like you zeroed your gun, and then you're in this location, and you just established what your dope was going to be, and you wrote it down in your little book, and then you went to a new location, different elevation,
right.
different heat, like Florida to Idaho to Colorado to whatever, New Mexico, and you just kept track of that, right? And now between Kestrel, Vectronics, the computer systems that we have today, and the understanding based on those that invested a lot of time and effort into the ballistic solvers, like Applied Ballistics and Tubbs, other guys, we did that video with Todd Hodnett way back in the day, and I remember him just like drawing on the side of his truck with like a marker, because he had a white truck. And he's trying to just explain how to take a duplex reticle, but turn it into, something that you could use for a longer range shot. And we're just all fried, right? So here, like you said, we go literally from 100 to true in the gun. And then after that, we're working on recoil management off of a tripod standing. And then it's interesting to see where the student ends, and then also you guys starting to see what wind looks like.
Yeah.
And build in a good position in order to, if you do get that miss, which you're likely to get, but the follow-up shot becomes a hit.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it was really fun. Before I came out here, Don told me about that and kind of gave me a teaser of like what was going to be involved. And I was like, this sounds pretty intense. Like, I'd never gone to a course where they had those expectations on like day one, here we go. But it worked, and everyone was doing great. So
yeah, I remember you were lucky if you were like, as you were establishing your hits at different distances, like you were a king back then at 1,000.
Yeah.
Like, and nowadays you got guys shooting well over a mile, and guys shooting literally consistent groups at a mile. There are some such fabulous shooters out there that a lot of the 2A community like doesn't really know about, and some are good teachers, and then others are just great shooters. You know, if you need that bullet from point A to point B, you know, you look at what these guns can do, and the guns and the technology can do it. It's just a matter of getting the shooter to kind of understand the two of those things. And we know, like, very rarely now do I ever shoot prone. I remember a couple students coming out to my class, and we were running M4s. We're shooting at 100 yard, and they were like, "Hey, can I just zero off a tripod?" And I'm like, "I guess so." I mean, this was years ago, and I'm like, "I guess so." You know, like, dude, I need you to shoot, you know, a good, really good group, just because we're gonna shoot out the 500 and stuff. And I'm like, I look at these guys, they shoot this really good group, and I'm like, dude, that's off a tripod. Right, but it like, you know, because you're so stuck in your ways, it just takes your brain a while to kind of like wrap itself. And I shot a lot with Jared from Tier 1 Concealment, which I think you run his holsters as well.
Yeah.
Jared was doing a lot of stuff off tripod, off barricade, and I'm like, you know, like, I'm that insecure kid who's like, no, we got to do this prone, and he's making these crazy shots, and I just didn't like the tripod because I didn't understand it, because there wasn't somebody there to kind of teach me, this is what you need to do to make this thing work. But there are a lot of little things that kind of stack up, and you can lose one or two and still get a hit, and still have good recoil management, build a good position. But there's, like, you can't lose too many, right? And be dealing with wind.
Sure.
But now I can't remember, aside from zeroing a gun at 100 yards, when's the last time I've, like, shot prone, you know?
Well,
And when
especially like the environment like this, it's not like laying down in this stuff is going to be really uncomfortable. And there's a lot of sharp rocks and things that just, it's not really conducive to prone. Whereas like if you have a tripod, you can set up quicker, and sometimes quicker, and then you're still just as stable, if not more stable.
I would say, you know, when you look at the PRS community, the game is so, when you watch them, I don't know if I've ever seen them go prone. In like the Mammoth, where they're running, you know, 35 miles, or I think it's the Mammoth. And then there's another one, I think it's like the tactical ones. You'll see guys like drop prone. I totally get it, dude. You're humping like almost 90 pounds, your water, all your gear, all your ammo every day, right? So like those logically are like, please just let me lay down on my belly.
I'm exhausted.
Like, I would have blown my back like 2 miles back. Like, I told Don, I was like, man, we should run this one, but we can't run the 35-miler one, like, unless we can take a car. Like, if we can take a car and I can open up the truck door, it doesn't even matter. We can take a moped, right? Like, two dudes on a moped, squat that thing down like South America style. Like, we're good. But, you know, it's interesting because within the, you know, PRS community, they're always shooting off something. It's like they're not even going to let those guys, even on small targets, drop prone, because it's like too easy. And you got to laugh at like where the 2A community has gone, where the long range community has brought great shooters in regards to, you're taking like a 3-inch plate at like 900 yards, and you're just like, oh, let me hit it.
That's crazy.
I'm going to hit it again. I'm going to send it. It's still moving, and like, I'm going to hit it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's awesome. I think there's these other guys that are going to, you know, like, leave their legacy behind. And like, the bottom line is, if we're there to make people better than us, then we've done our job, right? So like, I can only build you as good as I am, if that's what you think in regards to like, oh, you're a really good shooter. And then it's like, the next guy you meet is like doing his best to make you better than him. You know, that's the difference between, like, when we talk about being elite, it's more geared around like elites. We want to find out. We don't want to be found out, right? Like, so we want to find information, even if we're not good at it, and just suck it up and endure it so we can better that next generation, right?
Yeah.
We're not looking for accolades or anything like that. We're just looking for like, how do we better that community? Whereas like an elitist is looking for that. You know, a lot of them, they don't want to make shooters better. Because then you'll be better than them. But the reality is it's like, dude, do everything you can to make the shooting community better than you, and then that's going to build, and then before you know it, we're going to have like amazing shooters.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, speaking of how like the shooting community has evolved over the years, going all the way back to like Magpul Dynamics. I mean, that that was in my mind, that's one of the first introductions to like putting online content or virtual content out there for the masses to see, and instead of people like being locked into their bubbles of like dogma or whatever they were trained on. And it was, I don't know, like how did that start? Because it doesn't seem immediately obvious that a company that makes devices that help you retrieve your magazine from the pouch would make training videos.
Okay, so it is going to be a little long.
If you ever have to defend yourself or your family, there is a very real chance you'll be arrested and charged with a crime, even if you were completely justified. And this is an unfortunate reality in our anti-self-defense and overly litigious society. And it's why I trust Right to Bear Legal Protection. After interviewing the founders of Right to Bear on my podcast, I was genuinely impressed with their integrity, honesty, and faith. They didn't dodge the hard questions, and their company delivers where it matters most. If you're a member of Right to Bear, you'll have direct access to their executive leadership team, and you won't have to go through the bureaucratic red tape that some other companies have. They offer solid individual and family plans with real local attorneys. And they also include minors on their family plan. Right to Bear also offers legal protection for church security teams, which is crucial given the growing threats to places of worship. To see for yourself how Right to Bear stacks up against the competition, just scan this QR code or click my affiliate link in the description. And don't forget to use DAD10 to save 10% when you sign up.
So I get out of the military and I work for a company that I applied to in Virginia Beach called Applied Marine Technologies.
Okay.
The two owners were former commanding officers of SEAL Team 6, one of Red Cell. Most of the people there were either former Dev Group guys. We had a couple Green Berets. We had Bill Shepard, the astronaut. We had EOD guys. We had Chem Bio people from like DARPA and nuke people. Like it was a very like for me being a Coast Guard guy walking in, you're just like, oh, this is very like, I can't believe I'm not just doing this right now, right? Like it's like just keep swimming, but ironically I had applied after meeting them, and they were very gracious. They met with me. We were at a restaurant in Virginia Beach, and they were like, look, man, at the end of the interview, like I realized I wasn't getting a job, and they were like, hey, you need more experience. So we had one more unit in the Coast Guard that did international stuff. Specifically, like when I was at TACLET, we went over to Persian Gulf, we went to the Adriatic, we were all over the Caribbean, South America, mostly counter-drug ops, right? Then this other unit was like, no, we're gonna go train Indige and then we're gonna go work with them. And then I finished up in, I was in Azerbaijan, Republic of Georgia, Ghana, Tbilisi, Georgia. It was like I felt like we were on like the shithole tour, right? And I remember like I had a trip to Corfu, Greece, and I'm like, great, just another shithole. And then it gets canceled, and I'm on the plane going to I think South America, and it's like, look at the beaches of Corfu, Greece. I'm like, what the? Like I totally was like, this was my trip. Totally missed out on it. And then yeah, that unit had been around since the late 80s, and a lot of people don't realize that the Coast Guard's been in, World War II, Vietnam, running rivers, doing riverine stuff, and then that unit was there from the Pablo Escobar days. So they were there to go blow up coke labs. And the reason why was because we were under the Department of Transportation.
Okay.
So those original guys were the original snake eaters. They were, I think it was a DOT, Drug Interdiction Team, Interdiction Assist Team, and then it became IMLIT, International Maritime Enforcement Team, and then it became ITD, and they combined like this international unit with operations. Okay. Because the goal was, hey, we're gonna go train guys. And the reason why we could get away with it as a Coast Guard, unlike DOD, now don't get me wrong, the SF units were in South America during those days. Like, you can do the posse comitatus BS all day long, but I guarantee if terrorists took over someplace in Montana, the local SWAT team in Montana, if it was literally terrorist related, a plane would show up, dudes would throw on police uniforms, they'd go kill a bunch of dudes, they'd get back, shake everybody's hand and be like, you did a great job. And they'd literally fly out and leave. So there's posse comitatus when it's convenient, but a lot of those guys were down there for the war on drugs. We were able to, because Coast Guard's either DOD in time of war or we're Department of Transportation. So for us, it was easier to operate with foreigners to go do, whether you're targeting coke labs or doing riverine stuff, anything like that. So there was a lot of great guys that started that unit well before I got there. A good friend of mine that unfortunately had passed away from brain cancer. But so during that time, like that's where my focus was on taking shooting more seriously, because it was either a 2-man or a 3-man team with a bunch of indige, and you couldn't trust them. Like every one of them, based on their salary, if you looked at what their salary was for a month, I mean, I think a commander down in South America was getting paid $500 a month. So if you don't think the dude on the boat
gosh.
with you is going to try to give away your location, or
Right.
like you gotta understand the game. But that's where I started taking my shooting more seriously. But that was after having this job interview go south, right? So like it didn't go the way I wanted to. I remember coming back home to my wife, and she was like, "How'd it go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much flat." They were like, "I need more experience, international experience." So I went to language school down in Guatemala. Then I went to this unit. Then I reapplied, got hired. The dudes in that office, they were, you know, silver star, bronze stars, like numerous. It was just like, and the ironic thing about, like, well, not ironic, but I remember when you go through your interview process, they're like, "Oh, this is Chris Costa. He's a Coast Guard guy, blah, blah, wants a job." So you always had this guy kind of like moving you through. And what I didn't realize at that time is you either got a thumbs up or thumbs down. Like they were either like, "I like him," or "I don't." So everybody was like, "Hey, tell me about yourself." But I'm like, dude, you're like amongst your heroes. Like, we got Grenada guys, Panama guys. We've got dudes that were up in the Northern Alliance, like, you know, 300-man army, you know, looking for bin Laden. You got dudes that are over in Iraq, you know, like you name it, those guys were there, let alone, you know, what the COs, former COs like brought to the company. So like, you're just for me, I'm like, I'm a nobody. Like, I'm lucky if I get a job here. There's like, look, man, run boats, love to shoot. Hopefully I get hired. Aside from that, I don't know what you want from me. And it was funny because when I first started, we had a really huge contract with Homeland Security. And Homeland Security was having because the company, one of the guys was a former Red Cell guy, Rich Hansen. They coined the term Red Team. So our company was like full bore, World War II monument, G8 summits, you name anything important, dairy farms. Like, you're like, why would you dudes show up on a dairy farm? Well, because if this guy's cows get poisoned, America's literally never going to drink milk again. And we were doing malls at the time, and anything. We went to a company that produced this ingredient for bread. Like, it was like what preserves bread so it lasts like 8 days, right? So your wife can make sandwiches for your kids and stuff. And it's in the middle, like, you know, when you're doing your survey, the first thing is like, how easy is it to find? And like me and a guy that I'm with, which was an Air Force CCT guy, who's a super cool dude, very smart. We're like driving, we're like, no. And we get into this neighborhood. We're like, dude, this is a residential neighborhood. No way. So we like turn around, we like drive out, then we come back, because it's like, the GPS is saying this is like TomTom, like back in the day. So we're like, we come around the corner and we start following railroad tracks, because we know that they need chlorine for this. And chlorine's like very bad if it like breaks a certain way. And anyhow, so it's so behind, but you got to go through this little housing community to find it. So like the first check was like, this was hard as shit, like, to find this place. So good job, everybody. But yeah, we did a ton of stuff. And then DHS was like, hey, we're worried. It was after the Bethlehem school siege and the theater in Moscow. So they lost a lot of people in the theater in Moscow, not because of the assault. The assault was actually really good. It was when they were laying people out, they were trying to get them away from all the, they were worried about bombs being on a timer, and all the chicks, if you ever watched the HBO special, are daisy chained to propane tanks amongst the hostages. So you see the assault team, they go in there, they smoke everybody in about 20-something seconds. They go in, they walk up to every female, they shoot her in the face, because there was all females in there. But with the door open, they were like, hey, they did that. They shot them all in the face because the doors were open. So the morphine gas that they poured in there, they were worried that a chick could wake up, look what's going on, and detonate. So they were like, on the HBO special, you'll literally see them using their own cameras, like get smoked in the face. You're just like America, but it was obviously Russians. What killed most of them was drowning because it started raining. There were 300 hostages. They're trying to get them out of there as fast as possible, and they're laying them down, and they died of rainwater by being filled up in the mouth, unconscious.
Wow.
But what's interesting is the Chechens were like, oh, we're going to stand on a pressure pad. So if they try to gas us again, we're going to detonate in the school. So we were like really hardcore focused on that. And then it was assaulting. How do you take a SWAT team, regional SWAT team, and not mom getting, her stupid son like puts a gun to her head, or it's some dude on crack and you're serving warrants. But it's like, how do you go take down a terrorist cell, right? In a big structure, in a really big structure. So then I got moved over to that division, which we were basically doing CBRN, but full assaults, like in chem bio suits, because DHS was really worried about that. And then everybody, I think there was me, one cop, he was a SWAT guy, former SWAT guy, really good dude, and the rest were all retired Dev Group guys. So, and it was like, back then there weren't squadrons. It was just like, hey, red team, blue team, gold team, dudes that were there. So that really kind of shapes you. And what started the deal at Magpul was this Chris Super V gun that everybody shoots nowadays. We were, I was, because nobody else wanted to do it. I was tasked with like, hey, you need to work with these guys and build a better gun. And I'm like, well, all right, well, let's go shoot this thing. So we shot it back at Blackwater back in the day. And then after that, I went to Magpul and I was like, I never knew him. I was like, this is what we need to do. Are you guys in? And then I went to LaRue Tactical back in the day because they made rails. LaRue was like, Mark was like, hey, we're too busy. We don't have time for this stuff. And then in all fairness, as much as that thing had been worked on at Picatinny Arsenal, Mike Mayberry literally built that gun in 30 days, and we're like literally outside a window in a snail, like firing a trigger so we don't blow up inside. Like you never know what's going to go on. So we're running slow-mo cameras. So the Chris Vector Super V gun was created, in my opinion, by Magpul, by Mike Mayberry. And we were doing it all at AMTI. So that started a relationship with me and Magpul. Then I was doing some work with AAC at the time. I mean, it was just like fun guy stuff, right? Shoot your suppressors, teach a little class. Because I was still doing counter-terrorism stuff for Homeland Security and for the Navy at the time. And then I remember Future Weapons. It went from Future Weapons to Future Weapons with Mac. That's when it went because he was like, the next thing we're going to do is rescue these female hostages that have been taken and they haven't eaten 3 days. You're just like, what the is going on? Like, it used to be a really good show. I loved it, like back in the day. So they're like, oh, we can you come and like film for us? Because a guy named Drake Clark, which is a super good dude, he was on a vacation, I think, to Hawaii. I may be wrong, but he couldn't do it. So they were like, Chris, will you do it? And I already was working with him so I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Be on Future Webs. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Right. And then met Mac, and I was like, okay, we don't get time for that story, but like full on, like, yeah, it was horrible. But so we were doing this course, and we did this thing, and I remember Rich Fitzpatrick, which was one of the owners aside from Mike Mayberry at Magpul. He was like, man, you ever think about just training by yourself? And I'm like, man, I don't get the money to do it. And I'm like, I'd be super scared, and I'm not really sure. And he literally was like, dude, I'll fund it for a year. That's it. And if you can show me you can pay your salary, like, then we're good. Like, and we'll figure out where that goes. But it took me about 6 months. And what was happening was there was a qual that we had with the Navy for teaching shooting. And they were in the process of me making it harder. And the reason why was me and a guy named Dean Gulick, we were signing our names as like, here you go, man. Like, you're good. Go kill bad guys. And we knew, like, you're not up to speed. And that bothered me a lot. Yeah. So for me, when I started looking at that, Dean was super cool. He's a six guy. He was like, well, dude, then show me what you want to do to make this course harder and how that's going to be. And we'll do it. So we did it. We ran our guys through it to like get a baseline of like, where are we as instructors? Yeah. And then where do we expect our students to be? And then the next phase was, well, we got to do it to some of the other guys that are teaching just like us. So like, what are their scores? And then the Navy came back and was like, not only are we not doing that, but we're lowering the standard. And I was like, okay, I'm
my
out. And then I
gosh.
joined Magpul. So that's how the whole Magpul
Wow.
thing. What a lot of people don't realize is that when we did Kaka, we're trying to record. You can do it all from inside and talk, or you can whisper. I'm trying to talk about first. Oh yeah, here comes
Here we go.
Cryptic. You're not even gonna see Butch at Cryptic. This is what I gotta deal with. Yeah. So anyhow, sorry everybody. Yeah. So,
This editing's gonna be great.
yeah, it's gonna be great.
It's gonna take me hours.
Beep, got beep, beep. Yeah. So when I did this, Rich had seen this video that I did that the AC guys kind of filmed, and he was like, "Man, that's really cool." He's like, "Have you ever seen like Gabriel Suarez videos? Kelly McCain, aka Jim Grover?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, on VHS." Like I grew up as like, my name's Kelly McCain, aka Jim Grover. Like, and I'm like, oh my, like as a kid, you're just like, this dude is just like killing it. And I later trained in Virginia at the Crucible. And, like guys don't know your personality. And dude, my personality is I just want to make funny shit majority of the time. And there's a limited amount of time I actually take myself seriously. So like we're at the Crucible and they're like, kind of like, so this, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, dude, this place is awesome. Like I'm in their bar. It was like, for me, we all have our idols, right? Like, and I won't say like Kelly McCain was an idol, but I grew up with him. So like it was a figure that I respected, that I knew.
Sure.
So I'm at this place later on in life, like training at his place, even though who knows how many owners have taken it over. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I'm standing on the dirt, right? Like you're in the dirt. You're just like, we're doing gladiator right now. You're just like, yeah. So, so we do, I show Rich this thing and Rich goes, do you want to go like do a video? And I go, well, I just don't know how to make it not look boring, because back then it was like one guy, I'm doing up drills, and then you're like, look, we didn't know back then, so we're just like watching dudes magwell grip and shoot, and we're just like, this is what I do. So when I go to the range, I'm gonna go do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you know anybody in the film stuff? And I did, because when I was at Blackwater, there was a military shoot there that they used to do, and all these vendors would come in, like the guys that ran Lamaze ammo. So you're like sitting there, if you've never been, you'll be shocked, because you're like, what's everybody got an umbrella for? And dudes are in raincoats, and it's hot as shit. And there's a chunk of meat like this, and there's clay and all this stuff. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
I grew up on like Gallagher with the Sledge-O-Matic, where it's like, and now we're going to take a watermelon, boom, and people in the audience, like you had to wear a rain jacket. And this dude shoots a 9mm at this chunk of meat.
Oh my
and like,
gosh.
we're like 30 yards away, and we're like, meat is flying. And then they're shooting this stuff with rifle, going through steel into this meat, and like, I'm like, what is happening? This is like, so the military shoot was really pretty cool back in the day. There was an article, I think it was out of Iraq, of a SEAL guy who was a contractor, shot this dude through the back of his ass, and it blew his pelvic girdle out, to where the guys were like, what rounds are you using? And he was like, I don't know. They're like these rounds this company called Lamaze gave me. And they were like, we want that right. It was like one round, the dude's got no waste.
Gosh.
Yeah, like it's gone. And I'm going to say that when you watched the video back in the day, it was like you'd watch the disruption on slow-mo camera, and it's like this big of an exit wound through a hunk of meat that was just solid.
Good gosh.
They didn't do well in the military testing, because they were running under the gel factor, right? Like like they were trying to like, hey, gel's going to be this. They're like, no. We shoot shit that's 98.6. Different thing. And the military, like, somehow there was an issue with it, is all I know. But so we decide, after this company called Legion Productions decides girls got chunky. Anyhow, so we go, I show them, we decide to bring it on board, and we go to, because I was tight tight-ish with the guys over at Advanced Armament. So we did, if you ever look at Magpul Dynamics, Art of the Carbine, part 1, there's 2 discs. One disc has me and Travis. The other disc doesn't have Travis. That's because we filmed them out of order. So we filmed this, we run it. Rich doesn't like it, so we got to do some edits. And my thing that I told Rich was, I was like, man, if you could film a class, like don't film just me, but like film me doing a demo, film the class, then a demo, then the class, like let's do this. And he was like, well, that's kind of interesting. So when we finally got that, he was like, we need somebody else. So then I'm a little butthurt, right? And I'm like, who? Who are we gonna get? And he's like, oh, you're gonna like this guy, blah, blah, Marine Corps guy. So Travis and I was living in Florida at that time, and I'd moved to be closer to my kids. So he's like, he's teaching his class over in Zephyr Hills. So I drive, it's literally, like, ironically, only an hour and a half. So I like drive, he's doing his own class. I drive, meet him, dude, we hit it off. Like, it's like, I don't know how, it's like just lost brothers. Weird, because what that starts is, he goes back, Rich is like, what do you think of him? I'm like, I like him, we get along really good. Ironic that both Marine Corps and Coast Guard, like, we're so similar in a lot of our stuff.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I want to hire him. I'm like, well, hire him. Rich hires him. Our first time together, like officially together under Magpul, was Art of the Carbine, part 1. And him and I are like in the bedroom, in a hotel room, and we're like, so I guess we'll teach sports for malfunctions. I'm like, all right. Like, we were like still stuck, and we're gonna show the world like military. And I was running an M900 because under the contract that we were under, that's what the guys ran, was a 10.5 M900, and like, that's what we're gonna do. And then it wasn't until we finished that DVD, which was about a week, and then we were like, let's go teach whatever the hell we want to. So what's funny then is, at the gun cleaning section in Art of the Carbine Disc 1, you'll see, I went up to Trey Knight over at Knight's Armament because he was building my guns for me. Super awesome dude. Dude, he's so humble. Like, they're so cool. At the end of the gun cleaning section, I remember because Knight's Armament was building my guns,
Okay.
and I didn't need a fixed front sight on a 10.5 anymore. And I remember asking him, Marvin Pitts was there. He did some work for Wilson Combat for a while after he left Knights. He was like the Knight's Armament PDW. I can't remember that caliber that it was in that they were competing for, but he was very symbolic behind that.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, can you put the rail on your 16-inch gun on this 11.5? Like, can you move this rail over? Because that's what they ran, was 11.5s, not 10.5s. And I was like, and have no fixed sight. So at the end of that video, you'll see like the Inconel brake. That brake for Knights to handle the pressure of suppressed was $450. This is back in 2010, right? That who knows what it would be now. And I remember, like, it would just like turn and burn blue. And it just had this like sexy look to it. So everybody's like, what is that muzzle brake? And then, like, I remember I was telling Trey, I was like, we got to make this brake. He's like, dude, nobody's going to buy a $450 brake. I'm like, you're going to sell some. I don't know how many you should make. Like, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to lay down my money. But like, so they did 100 of them, gone just like that.
Wow.
You got KC fans. You got certain guns and suppressors that like within the KC community, you can shoot that and you can sell it for more than you actually bought it for, even though it's used. Because, like, especially within the 308s, there were only certain cans made for like the SR25 when they did the CQB gun and stuff like that. So yeah, and then they did one for the SR25, and this is all before the MAMs and everything. Dude, those things sold for $450, like the most expensive muzzle brake out on the market. And I feel like, not to lie, but it's just because we ran them and we were shooting those videos. And then then we did Art carbine disc, this is part 2, and then you'll see us running KEC guns, Inconel brakes on them. We were running 16 inchers, and I still have my 11.5s because that's what I really like. But then our shooting style changed. Like we're grabbing rail. Like we're not doing the old military stuff. Like we're free of the institutional inertia where it was like, this is how we do it.
Right.
Why is that? Because we've been doing it like that for 30 years. Is there a better way? I don't know. Just keep doing this, and
What motivated that though? Like, how did you get to that point of like, hey, we've been doing this for this long, like, let's do this?
because you got out of the military and you got to experiment.
But I mean, it's not immediately obvious. It makes sense, but it's not immediately obvious, especially if you're like ingrained in that.
The Titan X is Mantis's new all-in-one laser training pistol that works with all of their existing apps. It's basically a dedicated dry fire gun that fires a laser out of the bore and incorporates Mantis X shot analysis. Plus, at only $200, it is way more affordable than similar products, and I am certain you'll know who I'm talking about. It's available in different sizes that match common duty or carry guns. You can run all of the Mantis drills, track progress over time, and even use it with the Mantis Laser Academy if you want to pair it with their targets. The trigger has a clean break and accurate reset, so you can run multiple reps without constantly racking the slide like you typically do with traditional dry fire. The device feels solid and like a legitimate piece of kit, not a toy. But it's safe to use anywhere, whether you're dry firing while watching TV, training in your garage, or teaching a class. In short, the Titan X combines the functionality of popular laser dry fire training pistols with the benefit of the Mantis X analysis, but at a much more affordable price.
So what's funny was, like, once we got out of the military, it was like, I don't know, let's do this. Now, a lot of competitive shooters, they were reaching out further, but they would still drop their elbow. And I just remember, hey, like, we've moved from Weaver and modified Weaver to we're isosceles.
Sure.
So why am I not just dropping my arm back? And anytime I belt my elbow, when you're running mill guns, not tuned gas systems, where the gun barely, and like rifle length, gas systems, but like hard suppressed where you got a little bit of thump. We started doing this like, hey, we need to run our hand out here. And that exploratoriness was happening because we were at that military mindset where we're stuck. This is the way you got to do it because you're going to get yelled at if you don't put your arm in this position. Then what started the thumb over bore was because back then, you got to understand, a lot of police agencies had plastic handguard. The average guy, like, dude, if you had a Knight's Armament rail, 7-inch rail, fixed front sight on your gun, I mean, companies like Daniel Defense, nobody else was around. And then LaRue started, Noveski started, all the, this is like at that pinnacle moment of growth. You look at now and it's like, all right, it's another AR in the market. Like, how's this different? But, back then it was, so plastic handguards were the big thing. Well, what happened was with Picatinny rails, we would mostly run thumb forward and fire, right? So it looked like a handgun grip. So no matter whether I did this or this, hands-on fire control, we're shooting. And we noticed that we could keep the gun flatter. But on cop guns, if you did this on a rounded handguard and you fired, the cop would end up with his arm like this. So then we're like, all right, well then we got to get his thumb up so that when he fires, this elbow doesn't drop.
Ledge for your thumb,
So we had to kind of tailor it to a community that didn't have the accessibility of rails. Like, look how long it takes for police to shift from Weaver to isosceles. Look how long it takes for them to get a new gun and a type of gun. Like, now police departments get railed guns, or now it's Keymod, M-Lock, all that stuff. Back in the day, this dude had plastic handguards, right? Like, he didn't have anything
like military
cool.
surplus, something that,
So, we were able, Travis and I, to develop that kind of shooting style. And I remember taking flack on whatever forum, bro. Like, I would love to see somebody Magwell grip again, and then just get their out, because like everybody's like, what is going on over here? And we're just like, And then it took so many people to go to class, and I'm like, look, man, here's the time. This is what we need you to execute. You can do it your way. Totally cool with that. Or you can try. And it's like, can't do it your way. bro, will you at least try?
Yeah.
Like, just try this. I know it seems weird, but as awkward as it is for a lot of those guys, because remember where the magwell grip came from. Well, it came from the MP5, because the MP5 was shot off the magwell, but it wasn't a rifle cartridge. It was a pistol cartridge off a delayed blowback. Then, if you had a forend, like a Surefire forend, this is the way you shot the gun, and this was our CQB stuff. So what did we do with the M4? We turned it into this. What did you do with your vert grip? You did exactly what I did, which was you grabbed the KEC vert grip and brought it all the way back and you mounted it. Then, if you did what I did, you dropped the magazine, live fire in a gun range, and went right in, and you raked your fingers because you put it too far back. But see, when you were doing it and building that kit, you were like, no, I'm good. Like, you just you did it from the bottom. You didn't do like a full, so like you just ripped the skid off and you're like, all right. So we went back, which shows us that legacy, like what we called like old school, I like to try to call legacy because it's a little more friendlier to people.
Yeah.
But we took the MP5 and we brought it into the M4. We took the revolver, thumbs here, revolver cylinder here. Can't go thumbs forward.
Yep.
Impedes the cylinder, plus get you close to the forcing cone. And we brought it to the 1911 because we were like, this is what I know. And then we're like, totally new gun. This is what I know.
Yeah.
And we do it. Now, God forbid, when we get some little red button and it shoots a laser beam out, right? Like if we're all like this and we're all like, why are we like this? We can just be like this.
There's no recoil.
Like, we can just do this. Like, we don't need to be so great because this is going to hurt my shoulders.
Yeah.
We'll just do this. It's that what we know we bring into every other gun system that starts to get
What's
developed.
funny too is like with the M4, the mag grip, they always say like, oh, you're more compact. Like, but I still have this extra length of barrel. Like, I'm not any more compact than that barrel.
It's like grab onto a fire hose, flip the bail, and just grab it 3 feet back and like watch what the nozzle does. Especially my learning curve really went up. What changed it was when Trey gave me one of my first SR25s. And I was like, put a red dot on it, and I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna burn dudes down running 308 in an AR class. And dude, I'd smoke majority of the guys running 308, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 1, 2, 3, like you're just like, rah, like the whole time. But what you realize is your stance is gonna change. It's gonna get more aggressive. There's a lot more bolt mass in a 308. You're shooting a 175 vice a 55. So there's no, like, when we shoot 9mm, there's some shit you can get away with. Just like on a 22, you can like make a lot of mistakes and still get a hit. You start shooting 45 plus P 10mm, you're like, oh, I got to pay attention, right? So there's that gamut. But yeah, that was kind of the start of the Magpul. Then we did the handgun DVD. We should have broken that up into 2. It was like 13 discs, 14 hours. Like you're like, like it was like sweating trying to get through this thing. And they were
binge watching Magpul.
Yeah, you're like still on the same disc. Yeah. And then we went out, because I had shot shotgun in the Coast Guard, that shotgun DVD, and I went to some good courses back in the day. Then we did the shotgun DVD, and then a lot of people don't realize the guys that were in the handgun video, the handgun, there's a section in there where we got like 2 Marines, and we do it at Blackwater where they're running downstairs, they got to transition, shoot, they're like in a street shootout, right? Like we're trying to just like kind of bring a little bit of, like the goal of the Magpul DVDs was entertainment, motivation, and giving you knowledge. So we want to give you knowledge, but we want to make it entertaining, and we also want to motivate you to get like open up your laptop out on the range. That's why we did the drills discs, so you could rewatch it. That was a big Rich thing. He's like, I don't want to have to go back through the video and be like, how did you do that speed reload? When he saw like that secret ingredient, he went back to, hey, I want a drill section where like malfunctions, everything. In retrospect, I would have said 100%, 50%, skip like 30%. Because there was like, we're going to do it super slow-mo. Like, meanwhile, you're like, oh my gosh, this is like so much in my mouth. But those guys, they worked at Lejeune at the sniper school.
Okay.
But, this is in height of Afghanistan, Iraq. And those guys were like, hey, you and Travis, because my idea was, we've taught all the videos. Him and I don't know long range. Let's go learn from the Marines. Like, this is going to be super cool, like not expected at all. Well, those guys got caught up to go to either Afghanistan or Iraq, I forget. Super nice dudes. And then we're calling McMillan, and we were in a California class. Barry Duke, which works at Surefire, he's been there for years. Super, very nice guy. He's out there, and this guy named Buck Doyle comes out there, and Buck has his own long range class now, and we are explaining how this is what we want to do, because they're like, oh, what's good next? And we're like, we want to do a long range video, but we don't have anybody to train. We don't know.
Yeah.
They're like, you got to go see this guy named Todd Hodnett. And Buck was at MARSOC, I think, at that point.
Okay.
And when he was at MARSOC, they went there very heavily. Barry knew him, so they spoke very highly of him. So us and our editor went out there. We shot, and then, like, kind of like what you did today. We're like 0, 800, 1 mile. Like, what the hell is? I can barely see the target on semi-autos. Like, we're running semi-auto 308s. And we're like, this is the guy. Like, you got to do a video with this guy. Todd was very apprehensive, and, you know, because he didn't want, his thing was, I don't want people stealing my shit. And it's like, Todd, people are going to eventually go to your class, steal your shit, or you can just go, this is all mine.
Yes.
Don't act like it's not all mine. And we're really glad to be able to run through that class. There's a guy, Mike Olivella. He used to work at our skydive division. A lot of people didn't realize we taught skydive, and that's where I started learning to skydive, running canopy courses and everything. And Mike he was just so wicked smart. He was already talking to, you know, Todd about loophole formulas and other stuff. And we're like, why no, I'll be honest, I was running a 300 Win Mag. You know why I was running a 300 Win Mag?
Why?
Because I'm not good at wind. So I'm like, faster to better, baby. Like, so most of the video I try to run a Win Mag. So Travis and I, we were like just hitting, you know, normal plates. Like, I just considered that a win. Meanwhile, Todd would have like an 8-inch plate above, and that's what like Mike was hitting. And we're just like looking over like, you're just an like, you're just a like, you've been here how long, right? Like, and you're already talking about equations and on we didn't even have did we have a Kestrel at that point? We had Palm Pilots. We had the Palm
gosh,
Pilot. So
amazing.
I think Kestrel made a Kestrel that just did atmospherics. It didn't have a ballistic app. So you had to take the atmospherics, put it into this, like the pen one. Yeah. Like, we're doing this. Like, it was like, all right, that's what my hold is, right? And then later you start missing and you realize, like, oh, that's right. That was 61 degrees and it's now 87, right? Like, I got to go and update. But yeah, that kind of takes you through a little bit of the history of the videos and everything like that. So
it's cool to hear about that. And just, I mean, to see like you guys decided, like, well, we've been doing this way this whole time. Like, let's change this up. And like how that changed, even though there was like some trash talking initial, like, why are you grabbing out there? That looks ridiculous. It's like, now that's the norm. And like you said, if you go back, it'd be like, people would be like, why are you grabbing the Magwell? Like, what are you doing?
They would. And I don't even care, right? Like, they're like, you're a Coast Guard guy, whatever. And I'm like, all right, like, it's, you know.
That's cool, man.
It's within his community. I think at least one thing is, I feel like, you know, in all honesty, I've opened a door because amongst a lot of the great shooters, names, military backgrounds, I'm like, look, man, I did my stuff. There was some serious stuff that happened in my life, but not where I'm going to sit there and try to measure it to somebody else, right? Like, you just don't do that thing. And that was very important in the early days for Travis and I when we were together, was like, look, we already have their money. We need to make them better shooters. We don't need to tell our stories. Telling my story or him telling his story doesn't make you a better shooter, right? There's mindset where you can go into mindset that makes you a better human being, but telling a story for 2 hours, like, all that I know is sitting on a drop zone, I never got better by just watching other people. The only way I got better is by jump after jump after jump. Yes, watch what people do, good and bad, once you're a little more aware of it. But dude, the only thing you know is, like, get in a bird and go get your fat ass outside of it and then go fly. Like, body fly, tunnel fly, whatever it is you're doing. So the thing about it is that you have a very, what's I think hard for instructors, right? Teachers, is I remember going to Blackwater, 5-day pistol 1. 5-day pistol 2, 5-day carbine 1, 5-day carbine 2.
Man.
Dude, I got you for 3 days if I'm lucky. And I got to take what I believe is the most important in 3 days and try to, based on my experience, which you're going to teach different because of your experience. And I'm going to be like, blah. Like, I want to get you up to speed as quick as I can, right? In case you're in a gunfight in a supermarket or you're in Allen, Texas, and a dude comes out with an AR and starts shooting people, and, you know, that's it. It's you with a handgun up against an AR. And I think that's what all of us struggle with is, how do I try to teach something that's going to be as quick as possible? So a lot of times when I go to other instructor courses, it may not be me learning something of a new technique, but I'm watching the way they interact, and I'm watching what they're teaching to that particular student. And then I'm like, that made it work. That's going to help.
Yeah.
That's going to help that student, and that's going to build them faster to be a better gunfighter. So some people always have an innate ability that their like speed of picking up whatever subject matter it is just like, they're like, I've watched these where they're just like, boom, red line, like they're great. And then, but you still have a job as an instructor to take that guy, whether you want to call him lowest common denominator or not, and make it his best or is as great as he possibly or she can possibly be.
Yeah.
Because you never know the environment that they're going to find themselves in. So even though we're in a gun course and you're like, man, that guy doesn't really shoot that good, the question is he leaving better than what he did when he showed up? Is he going to be a better or more productive member when you're in a grocery store, some dude comes in with a shotgun and he's just like, normally doesn't, you know, he doesn't shoot like groups like this, but he's like, I can hold human body, and he just like burns a dude down. So I think, you know, we all have to have that understanding of like, our job is to make people better than what they were, like beat yesterday's version of you, and then train to beat your most likely adversary. And now we have a lot of adversaries, right? Especially within the civilian community, let alone the law enforcement community as well. But I think that one of the things that I would leave everybody with is, especially on the instructor side, is don't bend. Like my mistakes, if you were to say, what did you screw up in your early days? I would be conformity, trying to make somebody be just like me.
Gotcha.
And when you start to get a little bit mature, you start to realize like, look, in all actuality, I'm there to make you a better version of you. I do actually opposite now. I do not want you to look exactly like me doing everything, because if you do copy off everything that I do, I've chances are I've failed in what I'm teaching. I've had guys that are 33-year weaver guys. Like, dude, they're strong weaver, right? My opinion is this. They'll come to a class, I'll do my demos, I'll show recoil management, we'll do all of our shooting, right? I walk down the line and the guy's shooting good. He's a good shooter. Can he shoot, let's just say, as many rounds as I can if we got to burn it down real quick? It's like, no, he's like a few rounds off. But is he doing, like, even though he's not doing an isosceles like I'm going to teach, is he doing his good? Is he getting good hits? Is he getting good results? All that stuff. If the answer is yes, let him keep doing him. He's got 33 years of myelination, like we talked about, behind him. So if I decide I want to force him into like what I want to do, I'm going to end up screwing him up. So an example was, I had these guys that were dedicated weaver guys. They're like, Chris, bro, we believe it. Like, dude, just like we're gonna like go back and forth, but just put up with us. I'm like, actually, no, you're not. They're like, what are you talking about? I don't want you to change. I was like, dude, you got 33 years on this. So you have so much myelination. What's going to happen is I'm going to try to convert you over here. And in the gunfight, I don't know which one you're going to get, but I'm going to tell you it ain't going to be a good weaver and it ain't going to be a good.
Yeah, that's a lot of rewiring that has to go on.
It is. So you have to realize that some things are bigger in life than you, or trying to force people into an envelope of what you are. You're there to make them a better performer and a better shooter based on their injuries, their capabilities. You're not there to change them, right? In the fascist of copying and being another like mini you, right?
Yeah.
And that would be the biggest thing I would say for the instructors that are out there. Make them better. They don't have to be you. Are they achieving the results? And you know what? At the end of the day, dude, I'm not going to beat Jerry Barnhart, right? I'm not going to beat Robbie Latham, right? I'm going to do whatever I can to maximize to get as close as I can. But some people, there's always a more genetically superior shooter, fighter, knifer, like combative guy. It doesn't matter. There's just people that are just like superhuman, and they're fantastic in that arena. The question is, am I at 100?
Yeah.
Like if I'm at my 100, cool. We've met what we need to do. But my 100 may not meet, Robbie Latham's 95.
Yeah.
Right. So then I'm going to cheat and throw dirt in his face. And like, like you're going to do shit that's messed up because you're like, at the end of the day, I'm also here to win. Right. So.
Cool, man. I think it's a great note to end on. I appreciate this conversation. That was cool. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, train to a higher standard. Thanks,
That
man.
worked, bro.
That was awesome.
Yeah.